Hello, guys. Niger Street Lawyer is back again. Now, there is this issue of a tenant being evicted by a new landlord. What do I mean by new landlord? Somebody acquires a property where there are existing tenants before he bought the property, and then after buying the property, he gives a quick notice. Oh, that I am now the new sheriff in town, like some governor would say that somebody cannot come into the state without his authorization because there is a new sheriff, whatever that means. Of course, that matter has been settled because the Constitution guarantees the freedom of movement, and freedom of movement includes you moving from one state to another without needing to take permission from anyone. But that's, by the way, we are talking about the new sheriff of a landlord who acquires a property, a residential property, and then begins to chase everyone or gives quick notice to people. Now, the issue is settled at law. The issue is that the moment you acquire a property, a residential property, you acquire all the rights, not only the rights, but the rights and the liabilities. And the tenants are your liabilities. When you buy a property, you do not only buy the property, you also acquire the tenancy of the tenants whose rent is not due or whose rent are still subsisting. So do not let anybody chase you from a property because they bought the property. As a matter of fact, you would live in the premises until your rent is determined, until your tenancy is determined or your rent is due. And in that case, that is the only time you can now leave. And as a matter of fact, it is not even automatic. If they want you to even leave the premises, the new landlord, that is, even when your tenancy is determined, the new landlord must follow the requirement of law by giving the statutory notices. Some time ago, we have discussed the statutory notice, but maybe for the purpose of refreshing our memories, we may have to discuss it again, but you can check the video on my platform. The statutory notices has to be given by the new landlord. You cannot just say, oh, I'm now the new landlord and I now own the property. I'm not the former landlord with which you came into a tenancy agreement. It doesn't matter. The moment you acquire the property, you have acquired the liability of being the landlord of the tenants. So you can only evict those tenants when their rent is due. Or if you do not want them to renew the rent, you can give them ahead if there is a tenancy agreement subject to the tenancy agreement regulating their current tenancy. If the tenancy says 2 months notice, then you have to give them. But if there is no agreement as to the notice, then the law says 6 months notice. You must give 6 months notice and tell them that upon the determination of your rent, of your current tenancy, I do not want you to renew. You must give the notice. And when the person does not leave upon the determination of the 6 months notice or upon the determination of his rent, when his rent expires, you must now issue the 7 days owner's intention to recover premises. So do not forget that a property has been sold. I've seen situation. I've seen somebody whose a rental apartment was sold and he was evicted from the premises by the bank. Or they took loan with the property and then the loan is unpaid and then the bank came and sent them away. No, you can't do that because the bank comes into the position of the landlord in the new landlord, in the existing landlord tenancy relationship. It doesn't matter that, oh, it was a loan. No, you acquire the tenants in the subjects, in the property, which was the collateral of that loan. If you love this video, like, leave your comments, and share. I respond to comment. Thank you very much.